This is a school where straight-A students are not allowed to enter, because it doesn't teach knowledge, only crime. There is a luxurious casino prepared for students, with a clear sign on the door that reads "Teachers Forbidden." Gambling is even the star course here. Those who rank in the top 10 on the gambling list are eligible to enter the student council, which is the power center of the school. The president, who ranks first, can even arbitrarily decide the life and death of others. During gambling, once one's assets become negative, they will be hung with a dog tag symbolizing livestock. And from then on, they must obey the winner unconditionally until their assets turn positive to regain their freedom. On this day, the school welcomes a new transfer student, a beautiful woman with black silk and long legs. But more than that, gambling skills are what Yumeko was most proud of. Her roommate kindly reminds her not to provoke the student council, because her previous roommate offended the student council and then vanished without a trace, never to be seen again. It was thought that this would make Yumeko cautious and restrain herself. But unexpectedly, she became even more excited. She even strongly proposed to swap beds with the girl, just because she preferred the seat by the window.
I wager you $10,000 that by the end of the day you'll willingly switch beds with me.
Bet.
Awesome!
For Yumeko, who has suffered from compulsive gambling disorder since childhood, gambling is really more important than life. Almost everything in her life can be decided by gambling, so she is proficient in all forms of gambling. The higher the stakes, the more excited she gets, preferably the kind that gambles with life right from the start. For others, this place is more dangerous than prison, but for Yumeko, it is simply paradise. Her ambition is not limited to the student council, but to become the only rulemaker here. Soon, the high-profile Yumeko attracted the attention of the student council. Mary, who ranks 9th, is jealous of her beauty and challenges her to a gambling match. She wants the beautiful Yumeko to become her livestock. Kind-hearted classmates persuade her not to rush to accept the challenge, as members of the student council are dangerous people, but they don't know that this is exactly the dangerous game Yumeko is most longing for.
I accept your challenge.
She's insane.
The rules of the gamble are simple. Each side is dealt 7 cards, and each round plays 1 card to compare sizes. In the first round, Yumeko bets $20 and wins by a narrow margin of 2 points. Not surprisingly, Yumeko wins again in the second round. Although she loses the third round, she figures out Mary's trick. It turns out that the other party has been getting information through Ryan behind Yumeko, because Ryan is Mary's livestock and must obey her unconditionally. Realizing this, Yumeko advances instead of retreating. She increases the original bet of $200 to $10,000 directly. The soaring bet successfully lures out the largest card in Mary's hand. Although it ends in a draw, this is exactly what Yumeko expects.
And if I win, I'm gonna donate half of my winnings to Ryan.
In terms of psychological games, 10 Marys are not as good as 1 Yumeko. She directly flips the card face down on the table, obviously preparing to play blind. She is going to decide the outcome by probability.
Let's play the remaining hands for
100,000.
Mary's total assets are only $98,000. Once she loses this round, she will definitely fall into the red list and directly be reduced to livestock from a student council member. She can't accept this gap, but more and more people are watching. If she doesn't accept the challenge, she will become a laughingstock in the future. The winner is decided. Yumeko's ranking jumps to 22 in an instant, while Mary drops from 9th to 76th, and her assets become negative. This means she has become a livestock. What's more hurtful is that Yumeko doesn't want her as a livestock, but gives her to Ryan, who should have been a livestock. Thus, Yumeko's first stop ends perfectly, which also attracts the attention of the student council president, the only rulemaker of the school. And this is exactly what Yumeko wants. When she returns to the dormitory at night, she finds that her bed has been moved to the window, and there are 10,000 chips placed next to it. At this moment, Yumeko's name has spread throughout the school, and this is just the beginning of her revenge. When Yumeko was 6 years old, she witnessed her parents being blown up. And since then, the seed of revenge has been planted, and the school is closely connected with her enemies. Yumeko is a super gambler. She can tell that the other party is cheating at a glance, marking the cards with her injured finger. As a new transfer student, Yumeko's brilliance is too dazzling, even attracting the attention of the student council. Kira invites her to join her Spade House camp. As the only rulemaker of the school, her authority is unquestionable by anyone, except Yumeko. In her eyes, The powerful student council is just a small stumbling block on the road to revenge.
Good luck with that.
Yumiko's public refusal makes Kira lose face. As the queen of the entire school, this is the first time. Therefore, she asks Suki, who ranks 4th on the gambling list, to suppress Yumeko. Yumeko readily accepts Suki's challenge. From Mary, a former student council member, she learns that Suki's methods are the dirtiest in the school. First, she collects the most embarrassing secrets of her opponents that they don't want to be exposed, then deliberately reveals them during the gambling to affect the opponent's emotions and judgment, and then delivers a fatal blow to win a lot of money. Before the gambling starts, Yumeko finds Michael. She tells him the deepest secret she doesn't want to mention, hoping that he can help her win the gambling match against Suki. In response to the beautiful woman's request for help, Michael says he will do his best. When she returns to the dormitory, she finds out that Suki has come quietly while she was talking with Michael, obviously to investigate her for the gambling match. Soon, it's the scheduled time for their gambling. Both sides wear heart rate monitors and take turns asking each other questions. The one whose heart rate first reaches 86 is directly judged to lose. Compared with traditional gambling, this is a more direct psychological confrontation. In the first round, Suki takes the lead in exposing. She directly brings up the fact that Yumeko once set fire to a school, but the latter easily defuses it.
But if I didn't, they had it coming.
In contrast, Yumeko is more direct. In her first question, she mentions Suki's deceased family members, but unexpectedly, the other party doesn't care at all. In the second round, Suki even takes out the decorative chips that Yumeko has carried since she was a child. In her opinion, this thing is obviously very important to Yumeko. Seeing Yumeko's expression gradually change from relaxed to nervous, Suki knows she has made the right bet. She proposes not to gamble with money today, but to have some excitement. The loser has to offer their fingernail. As she says this, she shows Yumeko her trophies. She wants to further destroy Yumeko's mentality in this way, laying the foundation for her own victory. But Yumeko is even more excited than her.
I accept your conditions.
Suki continues to make things difficult for Yumeko. This time, she mentions the parents Yumeko least wants to mention, and directly asks about the cause of their death, which hits the soul. This makes Yumeko's heart rate soar. It's about to break through the fatal 86 mark when Michael suddenly appears and gives her a reassurance. His appearance makes Yumeko's heart rate drop instantly. At this moment, she finally regains her status as the gambling queen.
You will lose all your followers. That by the end of this game, $5,000. Any takers?
Everyone places bets. In their opinion, Suki's strength definitely crushes Yumeko. How can they refuse the money that's given for free? Yumeko's trick is a video. At that time, Suki was named Sean. Back then, she gained likes by hunting animals, which is completely different from her current gentle, elegant and dignified temperament. At this moment, Suki, who has tens of millions of fans, completely collapses her persona. Seeing that her heart rate is out of control, Suki makes a decision that is almost suicidal.
Delete my accounts.
But your followers.
Do it!
In this way, Yumeko successfully defeats Suki. Suki's defeat makes Kira very dissatisfied. Now the whole school knows that Suki is a liar, and she will not allow anyone to damage the reputation of the student council. In the eyes of the whole school's panic, a broadcast message resounds throughout the campus.
It is with a heavy heart that I must announce the unexpected passing of our dear friend, Suki. Gone too soon, but never forgotten.
In order to find out the murderer of her parents, Yumeko almost searches through all the books in the library. The opposing student council also notices this. When Yumeko goes to get the books again, she finds that the huge library has been emptied. For this reason, she goes to Dory, one of the student council members. Sure enough, there are many books here. When Yumeko proposes to gamble to decide the ownership of the books, she is rejected by Dory on the spot. She disdains to play such traditional gambling, but likes to play something bloody and exciting.
Stop.
It turns out that what Yumeko draws is a dance machine. She can never win this project because Dory has memorized every song. As she becomes physically exhausted, mistakes increase, and Yumeko soon loses the duel. Just this loss is directly $60,000. Her ranking on the gambling list quickly drops from 15th to 73rd, almost falling below the red list. At that time, she will become Dory's livestock. In the end, Yumeko chooses to end the duel and avoid the limelight temporarily. The reason why she crazily challenges the student council members is to give other students a kind of hope, letting them know that the high-ranking student council is not invincible. Michael proposes to develop an application that can place side bets. In this way, they can avoid the rule domination of the student council and provide more choices for the way of distributing gambling funds. Then he starts programming day and night, just when he is too tired to stay awake. The plump and beautiful Dory interrupts him. Dory says she feels sorry for Michael, and as she speaks, she takes out snacks from her pocket, including even a sexy photo of herself. But Michael is not moved at all. Dory doesn't say a word, directly pushes him down, and then licks him like a hungry wolf. At the same time, Mary finds the person in charge of lending money in the student council to borrow money. She is still unwilling to accept being reduced to livestock and wants to make a comeback, returning to the top 10 on the list. At this moment, Kira suddenly appears. With just one sentence, she makes Mary kneel down on the spot, even willing to act as her footstool.
We don't lend money to cheaters.
Hearing this, Mary quickly starts to show her loyalty, but Kira harbors a grudge against her for turning to Yumeko. She will never accept a traitor again.
Don't make me plan another funeral.
As soon as the two leave, Yumeko arrives. She reaches out to show goodwill to Mary, but is slapped away by the latter. Mary hates Yumeko, the one who brought her down from the altar, to the extreme.
If you cannot join them, help me beat them.
After that, the two find Dory again. This time, they bring their own poker cards, because they know that Dory's cards have been tampered with. So what to gamble on is completely decided by Dory herself. Seeing that her trick is exposed, Dory doesn't talk nonsense and hands her cards to Mary. The final duel is a one-on-one solo, and the one who gets the first blood wins directly. This is obviously Dory's strongest field, but Yumeko also looks confident of winning. Soon, it's the scheduled time for their match. Dory directly takes out two sharp samurai swords, while Yumeko takes out a school uniform tie, because she has long guessed that the other party will use a sword. In her opinion, the tie is the ultimate nemesis of the sword. In an instant, Yumeko's ranking returns to the top 20. At the same time, the ranking list changes many times, and the application for placing side bets works, but Michael hasn't had time to release the program.
Good afternoon, students. Your trusty student council has heard you loud and clear, and they've coded your side bets into the system. Side betting will now officially count in the real rankings.
Obviously, they are tricked by Kira again. It turns out that Dory stole the application he developed while flirting with Michael. In this way, they worked for the opponent for nothing. After getting the books back, Yumeko checks them one by one and finally finds some clues. A man, through the birthmark on the back of his hand. She can be sure that he is the one who killed her parents. At this moment, her roommate, who suddenly comes back, introduces her father to her. Yumeko politely shakes hands with him, only to see the birthmark on the back of his hand. While she is thinking that the coincidence comes so suddenly, she hears the man introduce himself as Raymond. The girl politely shakes hands with her classmate's father, while imagining how to kill him. Just 1 minute ago, she identified him as the murderer of her parents. Although her desire for revenge is very urgent, she is not stupid enough to do it in front of his daughter. For this reason, Yumeko makes a simple time bomb, but accidentally triggers the countdown. Fortunately, her skills are not good, and the bomb doesn't detonate, so she asks the straight-A student Michael for help. Knowing that Yumeko wants to blow up her classmate's father, Michael is reluctant to help at first, but can't stand Yumeko's earnest pleadings and finally agrees. They set the location at the performance venue, where his father, Raymond, would definitely be present to watch. Yumeko had placed the time bomb under the reserved seat for Raymond in advance. Soon, the performance began as scheduled. Staring at Raymond in his seat, Yumeko hesitated to make a move. As the performance drew to a close and the audience was about to leave, she finally pressed the detonation button. However, no matter how many times she pressed it, the bomb never exploded. Yumeko realized that Michael had tampered with it. He couldn't stand by and watch Yumeko become a murderer, thus ruining her life. Watching her enemy disappear from the performance venue, Yumeko, overcome with emotion, chased after him. If she missed this chance, she might never get another opportunity for revenge. But looking at her familiar classmate, Yumeko had no idea what to do. In her hesitation, the other party got into the car and left. At the same time, A pair of eyes from upstairs were staring at the car engulfed in flames. They belonged to Kira's half-sister. She held a gift sent by their father, something Kira knew nothing about. Yumeko suspected that gangsters had killed Raymond and his daughter in a revenge attack. Just as Yumeko was confused, Michael told her that Raymond was not the murderer of her parents, because he was an honest policeman who had been undercover in the gang for years. Even so, Yumeko still firmly believed he was her enemy. While they were arguing over their differing opinions, the school's annual grand event, the family battle, kicked off. The four families had to defend their own flags while trying their best to seize the flags of other families. All family members would be randomly assigned a card. They would use their cards to challenge members of other families in a game of comparing card sizes. Those who lost would be disqualified from the game. The reward was 50,000 chips and a wooden box. No one except the student council members knew what was inside the box. For years, the Spade family had monopolized this event. At Kira's order, the brutal family battle officially began. As the family battle raged on, a prominent figure arrived at the school. She was Kira's mother, who had traveled a long way just to remind her daughter that her father was dissatisfied with her actions. If she couldn't suppress the unstable elements in the school, she would lose the chance to join the board of directors.
Your father always gets what he wants in the end. If anyone gets in your way, crush them. No excuses. Get the school under control.
While mother and daughter were talking, the Spade family had already defeated the Diamond family. Yumeko ran into Michael in a corner of the school.
I'm saying this as your friend, Michael. Don't play me. You'll lose.
But they were in different camps at this point. Kira was watching all this through the surveillance. Seeing Michael flee in panic even while holding a spade card, she concluded that the smallest card Yumeko had was at least a face card. But Kira held the largest spade, and only the smallest two could beat her, so she wasn't worried at all. Just then, Michael came to tell Kira that her mother was waiting for her in the hall. When she arrived at the hall, her mother was nowhere to be found. That was when she realized she had fallen for a diversion. Meanwhile, Mary and Yumeko had arrived at the Spade family's base camp, where only a beauty holding the Jack of Spades was guarding. Not surprisingly, she lost to Mary's King of Hearts. No one noticed that Yumeko seemed to have found something. As the two were about to run away with the Spade family's flag, Kira finally returned. In this way, the Hart family became the first camp in history to defeat the Spade family, and Mary thus shed her status as livestock. When they opened the wooden box that symbolized the ultimate prize, they found it filled with chocolates. At this point, Kira, who honored the bet, came to Yumeko. She wanted to know where she had gone wrong. It turned out that Yumeko had long known that Kira was monitoring her, so she deliberately tricked Michael into thinking she had a strong card. But in reality, she was sending false information to Kira behind the monitor, making her think she at least had a face card. To be safe, Kira would definitely choose a spade to challenge, and this just fell into Yumeko's trap. When seizing the spade flag, Yumeko found a photo in the student council office, showing all members of the so-called Mad Gambling Club. Her parents were in the group photo, but Raymond was not. This indicated that her enemy was someone else.
One of these people murdered my parents. And I'm gonna find out who.
Yumeko, who had always won every bet, was reduced to a kneeling, licking livestock overnight, and the one who brought about this result was none other than Suki, who had risen from the dead. To find the culprit who killed her parents, Yumeko had to enter the top 10 of the gambling list. In a few days, the school board would hold a party, and only students ranked in the top 10 would be eligible to attend. R.A., the enemy Yumeko had been pursuing for years, was one of the board members, so she had to make it into the top 10 by any means. But Kira had issued a strict order, not allowing anyone to gamble with Yumeko, aiming to keep her out of the top 10 forever. For this reason, she could only pin her hopes on side bets. Coincidentally, the school was going to hold a dance, where a king and queen of the dance would be chosen by vote. She invited Ryan, who had a dance background, to be her partner, then bet on herself to be crowned dance queen at odds of 100:1. With the support of professional dancer Ryan, their votes skyrocketed. Just as they were about to be crowned, a familiar voice interrupted them. It was Suki, who was supposed to be dead. Her return made the outcome of the competition completely predictable. Even without dancing on stage, she was the obvious favorite for Dance Queen, so only the title of Dance King remained. But without Ryan's help, Yumeko had no chance of being crowned Dance King. Suki gave them a choice. Yumeko and Ryan would gamble 100,000 chips, and the winner would be directly crowned Dance King, while the loser would naturally become livestock. Yumeko couldn't bear to see Ryan return to being livestock, so she deliberately lost the bet. Thus, Yumeko, who was addicted to gambling and had never lost before, became a laughingstock and a livestock, with Kira forbidding anyone to gamble with her. She was almost cut off from any chance of making a comeback. To completely eliminate Yumeko, Kira decides to launch the livestock treasure hunt, which has been banned for 3 years. The rules of the game are simple. Masters and their livestock are chained together and sent into the forest to hunt for treasure. The team that finds the golden egg will directly receive 100,000 chips. During the treasure hunt, teams can attack each other, and even accidentally killing the opponent doesn't matter. It's obvious that this game is specially prepared for Yumeko. Reducing her to livestock is far from enough. Kira has already set her mind on killing her. She sends Chad and Suki to participate in the game, with the aim of hunting down Yumeko and her partner. Even though Yumeko is fully aware of Kira's intention, she still feels extremely excited, because this is her only chance to turn the tables. At the start of the game, Chad unlocks their handcuffs and then splits up to chase after Yumeko. Kira provides them with Yumeko's whereabouts through surveillance cameras. While the game is in full swing, Yumeko and her partner are having a pleasant shooting practice. Soon, they spot the location of the first colored egg. Eager to turn her fortunes around, Yumeko rushes forward without considering whether it's a trap. Even though her leg was shot by an arrow, Yumeko was still immersed in the joy of finding the treasure. Ryan stared at the wound, unsure of what to do. When Yumeko reached out and pulled out the arrow directly, Ryan suggests quitting the game immediately, but Yumeko insists on continuing. No one needs a victory more than her to participate in the game fairly. They start to deal with the surveillance cameras watching them. In Kira's angry gaze, the images on the screens disappear one by one until all of them are gone. Meanwhile, Yumeko and her partner discover the ultimate treasure of the game, the golden egg worth 100,000 chips. Just as they are about to claim this enormous fortune, an arrow lands at their feet. It turns out that Kira has joined the game in person. He doesn't know how important this golden egg is to Yumeko. For her safety, Ryan has to stop him. In the end, Suki becomes the biggest winner of this treasure hunt game. In order to turn her fortunes around as soon as possible, Yumeko wagered all her debts before the game started. Now she has fallen to the last place on the gambling list, almost completely losing the chance to compete for a spot in the top 10. She blamed all her mistakes on Ryan. Mary's ranking rose instead of falling. It turned out that she had never bet on Yumeko to win. Instead, she bet on her to lose. Now, Yumeko was betrayed by everyone, but this was not the worst of it. When she asked Michael about his investigation into her enemy, he said he hadn't found any information about RA, but his hands gave him away. Later, Michael called his father and asked about his name when he was in school.
But everyone called me Ray.
Yumeko took off her black silk, revealing her long, beautiful legs, just to get the man in front of her to gamble with her, because today was the last day before summer vacation, and she had only 8 hours left. She had to climb from the bottom of the gambling list to the top 10 to have a chance to meet the school's board members and avenge her parents' deaths. She was willing to pay any price for this. The more anxious she became, the more people tried to sabotage her. Their room door was locked from the outside by Dory. Fortunately, Yumeko had a strong sense of perception. She felt wind coming from behind the cabinet. Sure enough, there was a passage there leading to an unknown place. In her eyes, this was her path to the top 10. Everyone followed the passage forward and discovered the school's long-hidden ultimate secret, the lair of the Mad Gambling Club. Everyone who came out of here was a wealthy social elite, and Yumeko's parents were naturally among them. There were various types of betting games here, but without players, they were useless.
Tell your owners. Games like they've never seen.
Soon, the Mad Gambling Club was packed with people, and Yumeko seized every second to find someone to gamble with. Winning every bet, she began to amass wealth frantically, until Dory, who knew nothing about the situation, appeared. The truth that Michael had tried so hard to cover up was exposed on the spot by Dory. Yumeko approached and realized that this person was R.A., the murderer of her parents, and Michael had long known the truth but had been hiding it from her. What could he do? After all, that was his own father. Would he really hand over his father to be killed by her? At this moment, the relationship between Yumeko and Michael completely broke down. After that, Michael found Kira and told her that Yumeko was about to enter the top 10. Then the two went to the generator room together. As they cut off the power, the entire school was plunged into darkness. The list had to be locked in advance, but this aroused Mary's dissatisfaction. After all, she had already reached 13th place. very close to the top 10. Some people tried to take advantage of the power outage to tamper with their rankings, but Chad's excellent memory allowed him to remember exactly how much money each person had in their rankings. With Chad's extraordinary memory, the casino was once again operating in an orderly manner. However, the good times didn't last long. Kira walked in, surrounded by a crowd, when she saw that Yumeko had escaped her status as Livestock and that Mary had climbed to 12th place. Kira immediately hatched a scheme. She egged Mary onto a high-stakes gamble with Yumeko, promising to let her rejoin the student council if she won. The rules were simple yet brutal. They just had to stick their fingers into a hole, and whoever kept them in longer would win. During the process, they needed to keep cutting ropes, one of which was connected to a blade, so this was a contest of courage. In fact, before the game started, Kira had added a safety plate to the finger-chopping platform, and Mary knew about it. The aim was to make Yumeko too scared to continue and concede. But Mary had no desire to win that way. She wanted to earn her way into the top 10 fair and square. Before the game began, Mary told everyone that she had asked Dory to remove the safety barrier, making the game fair and just. As Mary was the first to cut a rope, the brutal gamble officially started. Watching more and more ropes being cut, the onlookers grew increasingly nervous. In contrast, the two competitors wore looks of excitement at this moment. They redefined what it meant to be a gambler. It wasn't until only one rope remained on the platform that both began to tense up. In the end, Yumeko backed down first. Mary won the bet at the cost of one finger. Just then, the school's power came back on. Led by Kira, everyone hurried back to the hall to watch the changes in the gambling rankings. As expected, Yumeko was still in 58th place, while Mary had returned to her original 9th. Just as Kira was about to announce the locking of the semester's rankings, Yumeko interrupted her. She pulled a slip of paper from her pocket, stating it was her additional bet. It turned out that from the first day Yumeko met Mary, she had secretly placed a bet. She had wagered that Mary would make it into the top 10 by the end of the term, and clearly, she'd won a huge payout. Her ranking shot up to 10th place, meaning she now qualified to attend the party. A school that only taught gambling and crime had somehow produced countless social elites. There were crime syndicate leaders, business tycoons, and even a national president. Rumor had it that their pocket change alone could make them richer than nations, and judging by the thick gold chains on display, the rumors seemed true. These people eventually became the school's board of directors, and today was the day of their party. Also attending were the top 10 students from the gambling rankings. They'd fought tooth and nail for these spots to network at this very event. But there was one exception: Yumeko. From Japan, Yumeko poured a vial of poison into a wine glass and walked toward the man who'd murdered her parents. But he was busy arguing with someone and didn't notice the glass she held out. Despite her beauty and allure, she remained an insignificant figure at a party of this caliber. She finally found a chance to be alone with him, only to be interrupted by a sudden arrival of a waiter. The one who called RA away was Michael. He told his father that one of his classmates intended to kill him and begged him to leave the party immediately to save his life. His father's response was to humiliate him, scolding Michael for not taking gambling seriously at school, failing to make the top 10, and bringing shame to his name. Meanwhile, Kira approached Yumeko. She'd long since noticed Yumeko acting strangely. Everyone else was scrambling to network, but Yumeko kept circling RA with a drink in hand. As Yumeko plotted how to kill RA, a comment from Kira's father caught her attention. His words kept referencing Yumeko's parents, and from him, Yumeko learned that while RA was the one who carried out the act, the decision to kill her parents had been made by all members of the board. Just then, preparations were made to announce the student representative to the board, and Kira perked up immediately. She knew this position was sure to be hers.
Then my daughters. Riri.
In that moment, Kira's world came crashing down. She'd sacrificed everything for this role, only to have it handed to her half-sister. She could only unleash her fury on Yumeko. Kira now knew Yumeko's identity and understood her purpose here. She forced Yumeko to drink the poisoned wine, threatening to expose Yumeko's secrets to everyone if she refused. Yumeko picked up the glass and drank it down in one go. Both were now poisoned without the antidote within half an hour. Not even a god could save them. They decided to gamble, with the antidote as the stakes. The game was the classic blackjack, with $20,000 in chips. The one who lost it all would be eliminated. To ensure fairness, they invited Mary to deal. Timirov suggested adding extra stakes. The loser would withdraw from St. Dominic's. Yumeko won the first round, and Kira took the second. They went back and forth for several rounds, with neither gaining a significant edge in chips. As time passed, the poison began to take effect, and their conditions gradually worsened. To end it quickly, they decided to go all in on a single hand. Kira got 20 points with just 2 cards, while Yumeko only had 14, hitting twice in a row. Yumeko drew 2 twos. Her chances of winning were now slim to none. If the next card wasn't a 3, she'd lose for sure. Just then, Mary, who hadn't moved all game, asked for a card. With Mary's win, the two were tied. This meant they were both safe. They immediately took the antidote. Timurov praised Mary's gambling skills while taking a dig at his daughter Kira. This pushed the already enraged Kira over the edge. She demanded to know why her father hadn't chosen her as the student representative, only to receive a cold, hard slap in return. Meanwhile, Yumeko confronted R.A., her parents' killer. When R.A. learned Yumeko's identity, the first thing he asked was about the whereabouts of a key one that unlocked $3 million in wealth. At that moment, Kira suddenly appeared. She handed Yumeko a drink with a razor-sharp stirrer hidden inside, then walked away as if nothing had happened. The two returned to their conversation, but within seconds, Yumeko made her move. In R.A.'s final moments, he revealed a shocking secret. Yumeko's mother had survived the fire and was hidden somewhere safe by him. With that, he died, and no amount of Yumeko's shouting could bring him back. R.A.'s body upstairs was soon discovered, and Kira seized the opportunity to frame her father for the murder. Looking at his father's lifeless body, Michael was filled with resentment toward Yumeko. By then, Yumeko had already left the resort with Ryan's help. As he congratulated her on successfully avenging her parents and ending it all, Yumeko's words opened a new chapter.
No. We're just getting started.
I'm a movie enthusiast. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.